Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. You know, I like to watch me some TV, and for me, the obsession has been The Bear. I finished it. I want to talk about that last episode of The Bear. Let's talk about it. Someone in my healing community asked me to talk about it, and I thought about it, and I thought this actually deserves a video. Spoilers here. So if you haven't finished watching The Bear or haven't watched The Bear, I'm going to do my best here to not spoil too much, but some things will need to be clarified, which may spoil. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's just... It's perfection in a TV show. So this is a series that had season 2 end a little while ago. So I'm going to bring you up to speed. Again, someone in the healing community asked me to do a video on this topic, and I think it was a really astute ask as I thought about it. In season 2, the folks at this restaurant called The Beef are now pivoting to open a restaurant in the same space that will be fine dining. The details of the season don't matter, though, as you know, I've done a video on episode 7, which actually goes in the Hall of Fame of antagonistic family system depictions in a TV show. But that said, in the final episode of season 2, the restaurant has something called its Friends and Family Night. It's sort of a dry run to get the kinks in the restaurant out before they open it to the public. And it's sort of a nice night to share the vibe of the restaurant with people they care about. So the question becomes whether Carmy and Sugar's mom, will she or won't she show up? Carmy, the chef, is in a different place. While the trauma of having this mother continues to affect him in many ways, in Carmy we see an obsessive work ethic, mild dissociative moments, a limited range of emotions at times, some discontrolled rage, major difficulty with close relationships, that he looks exactly like we'd expect someone to look like with narcissistic abuse. And Sugar, his sister, remains deeply trauma bonded to their mother. And Sugar asks the mom to come to the opening of the restaurant. Sugar's husband is there and very proud of her. And Sugar is doing a really nice job running the restaurant as a manager, and she's happy and enjoying the process, as difficult as it was. At one point, Sugar's husband sees Donna, who's Carmy and Sugar's mother, and sees her outside in the street and goes out to get her. And here is where it becomes an absolutely fascinating and painful scene for survivors to witness. Donna knows that the opening of this restaurant is a big deal. It is her son, Carmy, one of the most renowned chefs in the world, who's opening a restaurant. And in a space her other son, who ended his own life, Mikey, owned, and her daughter, Sugar, is now the manager. This is all of her kids in some way involved. Donna tells her son-in-law as she stands on the sidewalk, "I don't think I can take it," making this big night and her children's night all about her. The son-in-law, Pete, asks her what it is she can't take, and she can't answer the question. That was such an important part of the scene, because as I have talked about on this channel again and again, narcissistic people are very disconnected from their motivations. They literally do not understand why it is, why they do what they do. And when called out on it, will either get angry or distressed. And this question, she says, "I can't take it." And he asks her, "What? You can't take what?" That she cannot answer, captures her antagonistic personality to a T. She then goes on about how she can't say sorry or doesn't know how to say sorry, and she's crying, and then she leaves and walks away and doesn't go to the opening that Sugar invited her to. She knew it meant a lot to Sugar, but instead, the mother makes it a victimized thing about how she can't say sorry, how she can't take it, and she doesn't even once really reflect on how it would hurt her daughter and her son, really, if she didn't come. And then that grandiosity pops up as though she is a good person for walking away and not wrecking the night. Now, personally, I was glad she didn't go. She would have ruined it. But for trauma-bonded Sugar, it will hurt her. Now, interestingly, Sugar has set other boundaries. She didn't tell her mother that she was pregnant, which actually kind of makes me hopeful for Sugar. That was a big one. And Pete, the husband of Sugar, lets it spill to her, not knowing that Sugar didn't tell her own mother that she was pregnant. Donna receives this news of this pregnancy with the resignation of course she didn't tell me. And damn, that is going to come back and bite Sugar after the baby comes in season 3. But what is more concerning to me in this scene was how Pete, Sugar's husband, reacted. As he shares with Sugar how he saw her mother in the street and why she isn't coming, Pete was crying. I had so many reactions to this scene. At one level, it seems he fell for Donna's manipulation, and he kind of has always fallen for her manipulations. But in another, the whole thing is so tragic. The egocentric, entitled, dysregulated mother who will never come around and will forever leave Sugar forever grasping at the hope for a relationship she will never get, and Donna not being willing to do one thing to address her behavior, not going to therapy or anything, just going on and on about what she can't do, but not trying to address it. Pete may have been crying for his wife. He may be crying for what a colossal mess it was all, and that his nice behaviors were never going to make a dent in the mess that is this family system. Now, the person who asked me to make this video sent me a long question and made an important point that in this person's world that there were almost 2 takes on Donna. They said that for people who do not have narcissistic or did not have narcissistic parents or relationships, they just see Donna as being an alcoholic or having some unspecified mental health issues, with no sense of the selfishness and lack of accountability and the chronic victimhood and ultimately the absolute harm it resulted in for her children, and it affected their whole lives. The folks who did grow up with antagonistic or narcissistic parents or had these kinds of relationships kind of have Donna's number right away. The same level of confusion seems to exist in that family, with nobody really fully getting that Donna will never change, though I think Carmi the chef does. Some folks may even believe that perhaps Donna is having insight by not showing up to the dinner at the restaurant. But the coming to the door and leaving feels a bit dramatic and attention-seeking. If she really thought it was bad, she wouldn't have shown at all. It was a way for her to get validation for her stuff, rather than just committing to no contact and finally giving her children some blessed peace. If a TV show character and family can be this confusing and be experienced so differently by people, depending on their own narcissistic family and relationship histories, you can imagine what happens in real life. The Donnas of the world do irreparable harm to their children. And yes, we absolutely can and should have empathy for people who are struggling as this character of Donna is. But we also need to have just as much, if not more, empathy for the family members, for people in families like this who are torn up by her unwillingness to do something, to do anything, to try to do better by them. And no, a victimized rant and not showing up to the opening is not that. So I'll tell you folks, if you care about narcissistic relationships, watch The Bear. I mean, you know me, I was high on Succession. I watched that last episode of The Bear, and unfortunately, I was with other people the first time, and I was crying, excuse myself, to a bathroom because I was a little embarrassed, and I watched it a second time. I talked about it in my own therapy over 3 sessions. So when I tell you powerful, go watch it, brilliant, but it captures. If TV is confusing, you can imagine while your real life is too. Thanks again.